All right, guys, here we go. I think we're ready. So today is going to be a little bit of an advanced topic. It's going to be advanced, intermediate, beginner. I don't know. I don't know where you are. I don't even know where I am. I thought I was doing pretty good with programming, and then I ran into this yesterday. It took me all day, and I did some more stuff with it today, and I got better. But here we go. So anyway, we want to create boxes on this chart, and then we want to click a button and transfer them to this chart. So there's a lot I learned yesterday and today about the process. So let's see if we can get you guys to understand what I did. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so there we go. All right, so we're going to change this to the 1 minute time frame so they can be the same. All right, let's go over to the development environment. This is going to be, let's see, we're going to go here. All right, bear with me. We're going to get a few things set up. So we're going to need a receiver. So we're going to use a global dictionary in order to be able to transfer the information amongst two different charts. So we're going to use a global dictionary. We're going to have two different indicators. So one is going to be we'll just call it YouTube send, and then we'll call another one a YouTube receive. Okay, so on the send, using EL system, because we're going to be drawing objects, or we're not going to be actually drawing the objects, but we're going to be using the drawing objects namespace so that we can retrieve the objects. The variable, let's see, I know that I think we need a vector to hold the rectangles. We're just going to work with rectangles right now. You can work with different things if you want to. We're going to have a once block, begin, end. Okay, so, and we also need a global dictionary because we will be using that. Don't have a global dictionary because we're not using the EL tsdata.com. No, because we're going to do a token list, I believe, using, we will do a token list using elsystems.collections. That's so we can do our global dictionary. Okay, GD is what we're going to call it. Nothing else going on with that, just for this. Global dictionary.create, true, and I think, the first parameter is true, so we can share this, and then we're just going to call this, we're just going to call it capital GD, just to keep it simple. If you're going to share other things, you want to call it something else. Okay, so what we want to do is when we get a drawing object on the chart, if it's a rectangle, then we want to go ahead and, first of all, in order to do anything, in order to be able to click on these rectangles to get them to go into a vector or a collection or anything, in order to get access to these rectangles, we have to look into the collection of drawing objects on the space. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to use the drawing objects collection. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do draw objects, and when something is added, we're going to do plus equals. We're going to have an event handler, and then we'll just put drawing object added. Okay, and now we need to go over to the dictionary and find out what the args needs to be for that. And we'll see these lightning bolts, item added, drawing object added. We're just going to copy this, and then when we have our new method up here, which would be method void do added, we're going to paste that, and then we're going to begin. And so essentially for each of those drawing objects that's added, we need to assign a event handler. So Let's see, drawing objects added. We'll save this for later, because what we're going to do is we need to just take everything that's on the chart, and this will be pretty much like updated. Drawing object updated is just telling us that the collection is updated. Do updated. And then the real beauty is going to happen here. Method void, and then this will be called x of object parameter. So we're going to be modifying the parameters of the object. We're going to have an index so that we can loop through the parameters, loop through the drawing objects. So if we do have stuff in the drawing objects collection, if drawing objects of 9 is for the rectangle, but there's a better way that you can write that. Object category, and this is one of the things I learned today. Object category. So you can go ahead and write the enumeration. Object.category.rectangle. So if it's a rectangle, or the rectangle.count is greater than 0, then begin end. So for IDX, the index equals 0 to drawing objects of object category dot rectangle. Spell that right? Nope. Of object category dot rectangle at the index. That's the number. This is the number of rectangles that we have on the chart. Count. So we'll go to -1, begin, and we're going to take each one of those drawing objects. We're going to assign them to a temporary rectangle called rect. So rect is equal to drawing objects of object category dot rectangle at the index. Okay, and then we can say that rect dot, if we click on it, the click event plus equals. Now we need to go here to the dictionary and find out how to get the parameters and arguments for a click event. So clicked, all these are events. We need the drawing objects one. Here we go. Drawing object dot click. So we need to copy this. And then, so when we do click on the object, we're going to actually, yeah, so we can just select each individual one that we want to do, I guess. Okay, yeah, so some of these we won't even use. So drawing objects updated, we won't even use that. But you can use it if you want to. So this will be method void do clicked. So if we click on the object, do clicked. If we clicked on the object, then we want to take the information for the object and we want to save it to a vector, which can be sent over to the other chart. So variable rectangle rect. So we just have another temporary here. I think we need another index as well. So rectangle is going to be equal to whatever we clicked on. So whatever was clicked is the sender. So it's going to be sender as type rectangle. And we know that it's a rectangle because because it had a click object event handler, a clicked event handler here that sends it to here. Okay, but you could always say if sender is type rectangle, then begin. That's probably a better way to do it. And so if sender is type rectangle, then we want to go ahead and assign the sender as type rectangle to our temporary rectangle. And then we can take that information and put it into a token list to send over to because when you use a global dictionary, you can't, like objects are non-serializable. What serializable is and that can be sent over would be booleans, integers, strings, all those, normal classes. Objects can't be sent over. So we got to put it into a string and then send it over. And we can send it over in a vector. That's fine, as long as it's a vector full of serializable objects. Okay. All right, so we already initialized our global dictionary. All right, and so we're going to say we need a token list. And we have the tsdata.common for that. Token list,tlist. Okay, so we're going to have tlist equals new token list for the instantiation, tlist.clear. And then we're going to say that we need to start putting information into the token list, so token list.add. And what are we going to put into it? We need to put the rectangle's start points and end point. So it'd be great if you could just say rect.startPoint.date of bar and then the price, but you can't get the date of the bar, date time of the bar. So what you have to do is you have to be clever, and you know that you can get the start point, and so you can extrapolate the date time of the bar from the start point. Yes, it makes it more complicated, but it's the only way that I could figure out how to do it. So let's make a date time point, st for start point, dt point for et endpoint. And then so we're going to say, all right, well, before we do anything with the token list, we can just say that the start time, let's go sp for start point and ep for endpoint. Start point is equal to rect.startPoint as type dt point, and then ep is equal to rect.endpoint as type endpoint. Okay, and now you can go and you can say, all right, well, I can get the date time of the bar from start point. So sp.datetime of bar, and that's going to be a date time, so that's going to be a number. So you got to go to string, and then plus, and because this is like a comma delimited string, which is in your token list, then we'll do pluses so that we concatenate it. And the next one after your date time, you will need your price. So start point dot price, and then plus, comma, and then endpoint dot date time of bar dot to string. And remember that price is a number also, so it also needs to be moved to a to string as well. All right, we don't need to end the parentheses because they're all strings, but this does need a to string. Okay, so now we have the whole string of the information that's necessary to build the rectangle back on the next chart. Now we just need to add this to the global dictionary. So because we may have multiple rectangles, anytime we click on a rectangle, we want to add this information to a vector. And that way we can keep track of the entire database of rectangles. So we're going to use vrect up here. So vrect hasn't been instantiated. So vrect is equal to new vector. And then we go back here, and then we add that to insert vrect. We'll insert the token list dot value. So that'll be the string. Insert the token list. Yes, I think that's it. And then after we get done inserting that token list, then we're going to say, hey, the global dictionary dot, or the global dictionary, we need a key. We'll just call this rex. So it's our rectangles equals vrect. So essentially we're putting our vector of rectangles into the global dictionary with key rex. All right, and that should be it. And whatever was already in here is just going to be overwritten with the new collection of rectangles that we put in here. So let's see if we have any errors here. As type, this should be dt point. Okay, it's drawing objects of object category dot rectangle. What's wrong with that? Can I assign object to drawing objects rectangle? Oh, because this right here, this coming out of this, remember it's at something. It's in a collection. So when you bring it out of a collection, you really need to assign it. As type, rectangle. Okay. All right, and semicolon. Okay, no more errors, so that's good. All right, so we're going to come up here. We're just going to copy and paste all this because these are the namespaces that we need. So we're going to copy this, and that'll give us that variable at the top. Also, we're going to come back over here. We're going to get the once statement, because that will carry the information that we need for the instantiation of the global dictionary and the vector as well. All right, so once we get over here, we want, what do we want to do? We want to click on the chart, and when we click on the chart while hitting the control button, we want to draw the objects. Okay, so to draw the objects, we're going to need the method void method void x draw objects. I imagine that we'll need some type of index here, begin, and I know that when I press one of the keys down, I'm going to need some type of flag, so just to say that the key is down. So that's going to be an enter bar, persist, key down, false. Okay, so now we're going to go over here to toolbox and pull up the charting host. This is what we use to identify that we have a key pressed down. So C host is what we're going to call that. Then for events, we're going to have on key down. Double click on that, which gives us a method here. And once we get this method, now we need to figure out what key is being pressed. So if, and this is one thing as I learned today, is that it's important. So for one, stuff isn't updated in the help section for TradeStation. So if args dot key equals, and I don't know what I need to put here, but let me go here, and we're looking for the virtual keys. Virtual keys. Okay, you see this virtual key here? Let me see. Where's the control key at? I know it was wrong earlier. I don't know if it's wrong now. Here's a control key. The control key as a virtual key says 17. I don't remember that being the case, but if we go to the dictionary and we go to virtual keys, now the dictionary, I don't want to say it's got to be right, but I assume that because this is on the platform, this would be right. Go to virtual keys, go to control key, and it says 17. Wow. Well, earlier when I was looking at this, it was wrong. But I did notify the folks with TradeStation, so maybe they fixed it already. That would be very surprising if they fixed it that soon. Let me look for that again. I've been getting that error a lot today. Because you see, I just clicked on it earlier. I clicked on virtual keys and it came up. And now it didn't come up, but let's go to, so I think I was actually under enumerations. And we wanted like virtual key enumerations. Well, we can go to any of the enumerations and then go up here and then go to enumerations. And then we have all these enumerations on the side. And then we'll go to, well, I know one that was wrong was the object categories. So the object category said that 19 was the enumeration for all. Yeah, see, it says 19 is for all, and that's wrong, right? So the current enumeration for all is and this just goes to show you that you got to know how to use your system all around. It's 22, so 22 works, 19 doesn't. And yeah, that's unfortunate. And like I said, you got to know where to go. But you can be sitting here playing with stuff all day long and just get it wrong, keep getting it wrong. So right now it's saying the virtual key is 17 for a control key, but we can just type in virtual keys.control key. And Steve gave me a good nugget today. Coach EasyLanguage, he gave me a good nugget. He said, and they said it on the forums as well, the best practice, instead of doing if args.key is equal to 17 for your virtual key. Well, sometimes, heaven forbid 17 changes or something like that, the number changes. But if you actually use the written out enumeration, then even if that number changes, you'll still have that written out enumeration that won't change. That name will remain the same. So you'd write virtual keys dot control key. You write it like that instead of putting the 17. So that's one of the hiccups I ran into. So hopefully that gets somebody through a tough time. All right, so if args.key, virtual keys.control key. So if we're pressing down on the control key, then key down is equal to true. Now we're going to come over here, and just when we let the key up, we want to have this, make sure that key down is equal to false. Okay. All right. So now that we have control of our system by using the control button, now we want to come over here. When we hit the control button and we click on the background, so now we need to come back over here, go to properties, and I want to chart element click. I'm going to double click on that. Okay, gave me a chart element method event handler. So if args.element, what element did we click on, is equal to charting dot chart visual element type dot background. So if we clicked on the background and key down is equal to true, then begin, end. So now what we want to do is we want to pull that information from the global dictionary. We want to say if, or we could also put that here, and key down and global dictionary of Rex. Remember, that's what we set it to over there. Well, we need to do global dictionary dot contains Rex. Then we can go ahead and we need to have us a dummy vector. So dummy vector, and then we're going to say zvrect is equal to gd of rex as type vector, because that's a vector. Okay, so now that we have the vector in, we're going to say if the vector dot count is greater than 0, then begin. That just means that we actually have something in the vector. So now we need a token list again, because we're going to pull the information out of the vector. So for IDX equals 0 to vector dot count up to v to zv rect dot zv rect dot count -1 begin end. Okay, so zv rect. All right, need a integer for IDX. All right, so now we're going through the vector one at a time, and we're saying for each of those rectangles, each of the information that we have for that index of that line in the vector, we want to begin. So now we need a token list to pull it back out. Token list, t-list. All right, let's go ahead and clear the token list. So t-list, actually we can do this up here. We don't need to do it each time. T-list equals new, and I mean technically we could just do it once. Once t-list equals new token list. All right, and then when we get into here, we'll say t-list, which is your token list. You want to make sure that you clear it. Okay, and now we can add stuff to it. Add, what are we going to add to it? We're going to add to it the information that's at that line in that vector. So zvrect at that index, and it'll be as type string. Okay, because remember, when you're bringing something out of a vector or a dictionary, you need to as type it. So as type string, that's going to be your t-list. Now that you have that string of building information in your token list, it's comma delimited. Now you need to say if the token list dot count is greater than, we had 4 things. We had a start bar and price, end bar and price. So 4 things. If token list dot count is greater than or equal to 4, then begin end. Okay, so what do you want to do with it now? Now you want to go ahead and build your rectangle. You want to, so we need a rectangle. Rectangle, we'll just call it rect. It's zrect, it's a dummy rectangle. So zrect is going to be equal to rectangle dot create, and now we need the 2 date time points. dt point dot create. The first point will be the date time bar, and then the second one will be the price. Unfortunately, the way that we have the date time bar, the way that we have the date time, it's in a string. So you have to do one more step to get it out of the string format. So we have to use a date time. Yeah, I know. So to make it into a date time format, let's do date time start time, date time end time. Okay, so start time is going to be equal to date time dot create. End time is going to be equal to date time dot create. And now that we just kind of instantiated them, now we're going to say that start time dot el date, the el date time, which is the format that we put it into when we were over here. When we're over here, we essentially put it into a see if you click on this, that date time of the bar, it sets it as an object, but then when you do to string, it's going to put it in a string format that can be changed to a el datetime x. So we need to now say, so the start time dot el datetime x will be equal to date time dot, no, I think it's actually equal to string to date time. String to date time. And then what is the string date time? The string date time is that first date time that was in the token list. So it's T list in that first position, which is position 0. Okay, so that is your string to date time for your start time. And then you need a end time dot el datetime x is equal to string to date time of t list, and this is the third position, which actually is index 2, and that, and now we can access the actual date time as a date time of bar kind of a object, if you will. All right, so st is, and I think that's all we have to do right there is just use st. And then for our price, we're going to do token list of that second index. And that's going to be, this is a string currently. Token list is going to give you a string. So we need to make it to a number. So how do we make it to a number? We're going to use string to number. Okay. All right. For the last point, the endpoint, we're going to use et for that end time because it is a date time object, right? So et, and then we need to close that off, and then our second one is the datetime point dot create, and then so we're going to have et, and then we're going to have string to number of the t list of the third index, which is the fourth element. All right, and now that we have all that on there, we can do drawing objects dot add zrect. All right, I did a lot there. Got a feeling something's wrong. Let's see. Verify, and this is asking for another. Yep, because this closed that, and then this closed that. Okay, yep, asking for another close parentheses. What? That was my only error? Oh my goodness, that was a lot. All right, so let's go over to the platform and let's see what issues we have when we try to make it work. Okay, so that was YouTube receive and YouTube send. They will show me. So we're going to go here first, and we're going to go YouTube. Well, we're under show me. YouTube. This is going to be YouTube. I don't even know which one I was at. All right, I should be at the top. So we should be at YouTube send. Okay, and then where we're at the bottom one. Uh-oh. We need to be at YouTube receive. All right, show me YouTube receive. Okay. The hotkey on there. All right. All right, so let's scroll this back over. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to click on this, and then click down here. Now I have to hit I can click as much as I want to. It's not going to do anything. I have to hit the control button. See, when I hit the control button, it gives me a circle to let you know where I'm at. I hit the control button. Now I hit the left click, and it didn't show up. So let's go back to the code and see where we went wrong. Okay. All right, back to the code. All right, so on the send, We set up the global dictionary, went to vrect, we got the new vector. For every object added, we came here. That is the problem because we didn't add a new object. We just did this method void, do clicked. So what we need to do is for every object, we need to sort through every rectangle and add them to the list. So what we can do is whenever, I'm trying to figure out when I want to do it. I'll just do this on a once. So at the beginning of uploading the chart, it will go ahead and run this. And then it will also run it if I add a new rectangle to the chart or object even, we're going to run this again. X object par. Okay, so and then we're going to do X object par run once also. Okay, verify that. Now we're going to go back over to the chart. Okay, so we're going to draw another rectangle. Okay, now we click on the rectangle, click on this rectangle, and then when we come down here, click in. All right. Still didn't send it over, so let's go back. All right, so we know now that we should be having all of our if drawing objects .rectangle.count is greater than 0, then begin for index equals 0 to drawing objects of category rectangle.count -1, begin. We're going to assign that rectangle to rect and then do click. So there's one other thing, folks, that I've been playing around with, and I've just kind of done it on a whim, but I don't know if it's actually done anything for me. When I do this, when I add this parameter, this method handler to each of these rectangles, inside of this method, I wonder, does it turn to dust? So the only other thing that I've done is I've made a new vector, and I've just had one that held the v new objects, something like that. Okay, so we'll go here and then we'll say v new objects dot insert 0, and we're going to insert that rect in there. And so down here, we're just going to v new objects equals new vector. I don't know that that's the problem solver, but I know that that's one thing that has been consistent with what I've been doing the last day or so. All right, so we're going to draw a couple rectangles. We're going to click on that one, come down here and hit Control and nothing. All right. We're on different time frames, but, well, let me make sure that that's not the problem, because I know that that can be the problem. All right, so 15-second time frame. There we go. All right. Okay. All right. One more time. It's part of your debugging process, guys. Don't fix it. I mean, don't fix it. Don't forget it. And it is necessary. Okay, so we have this into a new vector, whether or not we need it or not. It's there. We added the rect.do clicked to the event handler, and we did click on a few objects. We clicked on a few, and when we clicked on a few, we should have said if sender is type rectangle. I'm gonna put a bug in here, just make sure that that's not an issue. Oh, okay, so that's working fine. Rectangle is SP. So the start point is equal to rect.startPoint as type DT point. As DT point, token list, new token list, token clear, TList.add. Now, one of the things I had done before was I messed up this concatenation here. So let's make sure I have that right. So the sp start point dot date time of the bar to string, comma, sp dot price to string, comma, that plus, comma, and plus date time of bar to string plus, comma, plus endpoint price string. So all that's fine. Then vrect, we're going to insert that token list value, and then we're going to take the vector and give that to the global dictionary. Okay. All right, so all that should be fine. I want to, just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to print the token list value to string wait a minute. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That puts that there, updates the token list each time. Okay. All right, I'll tell you what I can do is I can say, hey, each time I click on something, print what the count is in the of the vector, of that vector that we're sending over, right? So once I click on this, you see it gave me 1. Once I click on this, should be 2. Click on this, should give me 3. Okay, it's fine. Okay, all right, so all that's fine. So when we come back over to the new one, it's going to be something simple. I know it. Now it's a possibility that I just don't have the virtual keys, this part down, and this is what's holding things up. So let's just get rid of this. Because you have to pull out the things that could be fishy. All right, you see when I clicked on it then, all the 3 of those boxes showed up that I was calling for. So there was nothing wrong with my code. Oddly enough, there was nothing wrong with my code. Now, what did I do here? Object reference not set to it. Now, I'm not sure what that's. Okay, so when I click it a second time, it's giving me problems. So why would it give me problems if I click it twice? So we've got 2 things going on. One thing that we've got going on is we need to make sure that we're getting the right information. We're getting the right thing going on when we do this virtual key business, because that it's either between the virtual key, the key down, or clicking on the background that's not firing true. But besides that, when we click on this a second time, it is giving us an error. It's saying that the object reference is not set to the instance of an object. But nothing should have, for one, nothing should have reset. And then 2, everything is within a hierarchy. So it only, unless this, because of where it's placed, once we come out of this method, this must disappear. I don't know that to be the case with methods, but I may have just learned something new today. So I'm going to put this right here. And at that point, we don't even need the 1 statement. But yeah, I think that's got to be it. I think I'm going to learn something new today. Okay, so we're going to verify that. Now we're going to come back over to the chart, and then we're going to click on these. Oh, need to add it back to the chart. And click on these. Our box comes up. Now let's click on the chart a second time. No issues, right? So that was the issue. So I didn't realize that. As far as I knew, when you do a one statement, and typically you do one statements in the main body of your code, right? But I still assume that if you did a one statement in here, that whatever you did it with, it would exist throughout the entirety of the code. But I guess because again, there's something that Coach E will tell you when you're at this finer resolution here, when you're in this more private, this local module that nothing outside of it can see it. So I tell you what, well, I said I was going to say I could just take it and put it out here, which because I use token lists throughout my programs, and I usually just call it the same thing. And usually anytime when you call it, you want to clear it first anyway. I think we can put it at the module level and it'll be fine. So we're going to take that out. We're going to take this out, and then we're going to add token list up here. Initialize it as null or all right, so draw objects, we don't really need that, but we need to figure out what's going on with the control button. So if I press a key down, this is the way which you can kind of tell what's going on with your key presses. So I thought that I was using the control key. Let's find out what the computer thinks I'm pressing. So we're going to print, if we press a button down on the computer, we're going to print args.key.toString. And it's going to tell us what button it interprets that we're printing. So we're going to go here, and then I'm going to press the control button. Look at the print screen. It says control key. So that should not be a problem. All right. So if args.key equals virtual key, I don't think there's any other way to write it. Key is virtual keys.control key, then key down is equal to true. And we did that as interbar persist. Yep, key down. So if args.key virtual key.control key, one key up, then it's going to be equal to false. All right, lowest hanging fruit. Next easiest thing to do is this should be pretty much right. So let's just take out this. But that should be right also. Hit the control button, and boom, it works just fine. Okay, so now we figure that we must have an issue with args.element. Oh, yeah, and see, that's the thing, right? I mean, you got to know what you're working with, and some of it's just going to be a learning curve, right? And then some of it is just going to be an attention to detail, which my family might tell you I have an attention to detail, and maybe I do, but this kind of stuff here is it's a bit tedious, right? So args.element.type. You got to do the dot type here because you're comparing the dot type to this dot type, right? So type. All right, that should be it. All right, so we're going to go back over here, and then we're going to hit the control button, and then hit the left mouse click, and then we got it. Okay, so now if you go back up here, and you click on another one, and you click on another one, you come back down here, and then you hit the control key, and then boom, right? So you got everything showing up. All right, right there. Okay, and I don't. Now that is, oh, because I think they're not set on interbar persist, right? So when you get a new tick, they're just going to disappear. So interestingly enough, though, they just mostly disappear when I hit the, yeah, well, maybe they do. I'm just going to leave this here for a moment and see if we get a new tick on the chart. Well, there was a tick there. Oh, and then I moved my mouse and it disappeared. Yeah, so I think we're on some interbar persist business. So, but usually I don't have any issue with this because pretty much all my stuff is persist. So zrect dot persist equals true. Okay. Come back over here. All right, everything's added. Boom, 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 boom. Now this time it's not disappearing. If it disappears, then we're really gonna have to scratch our heads. If I come up here and I draw an ellipse, and then I click on the ellipse, nothing happens. Shouldn't happen. I'm gonna come down here, click the control button, nothing happens, right? So it's not picking up the ellipses. It's only picking up the rectangles, and it's only picking up the rectangles that I have touched. Now you say, well, hey Eric, what if you just accidentally touch one, and then you don't really want it to have, drawn the shape? Well, you can simply do what we did earlier. When you're on the send portion, come up here, make yourself a flag, that same one, enter bar, persist, key down, false, and then we don't have a charting host on here, so open up and then add yourself a charting host. Change the name up because we don't like things to be too long. We don't want it to be ambiguous either, but the longer it is, more likely it is that when we are typing it, that we're going to misspell it. All right, so we want to go to a on key down and then an on key up, just so we can reset this bad boy. And then so if args dot key equals virtual keys dot control key, then key down equals true. Excuse me. Copy, paste, be false here. So again, we're just using our control button. You can use any button. You can use a letter button, a control button, shift button, combination of buttons. By using flags, you can do a lot of different things. But so when we click on the object, when it's clicked on, if the sender is type rectangle and key down, then we're going to execute. All right, so now let's come back over to the chart. We're going to get rid of all these. Let me see if I can get rid of them all at one time. There was, if I just click on the screen and go to drawing, you can remove drawing objects, remove all the rectangles, just like that. All right. These were created by the indicator, so when I delete one, it'll ask me if I want to delete everything created by the indicator. I hit yes. Come back over here. We're going to make a box, 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 box. Okay, every other one I'm going to hit the control button. So this one, no control button. This one, see that? I'm hitting the control button. Okay, this one, no control button. This one, I hit the control button. Okay, this one, no control button. This one, I hit the control button. Okay, so we're going to come back down here, and now I'm going to hit the control button, and then I'm going to hit the left mouse click. Nothing. Oh, I removed the indicator. I really removed it. Okay, so I got to add it back. So the YouTube receive. Yes. Receive. Okay, now I hit the control button, and boom, there we go. All right, so you see I got every other one, the first, third, and the fifth. First, third, and the fifth. Okay, they're not disappearing because I changed it to interbar persist. Now from here you can do a slew of other things. I'll just show you real quick. I did something earlier. I've been working on this one all day as part of just, I don't know, the growth of my programming is for my higher time frame study. All right, so what I did was, you see I have color changes for objects. So I have it set up to where, because I need to spend a little bit more time looking at the charts, studying the charts, that kind of thing. But it's so tedious to come in here, and I think it's probably better for other platforms, so I don't really have an excuse to not do chart analysis. But it's so tedious to come in here, draw a line, draw a line, draw a line, and then you want this one to be red because it's the supply. But look what you got to do. You got to click on it, and you can't just click in it. You got to click directly on the border. Then, or let's see, you can do a right click, and then you got to scroll and find field color, and then you got to make sure you don't go off. Make sure you don't go too far. And then go up and find the right color that you want, right? Okay. What I did, and then you want to do the same thing over here. You want to go that, you want to go blue, and then here you want to go that, click that, and then you want to go green. Well, that's just a lot of time. All right, so what I did was I made a couple of hotkeys where if I click on this while holding the shift button, it'll change the color. It'll sort through a bunch of colors that I have in a string. Okay. And then once I get the color that I want, I can hit the control button and then it'll make it transparent. All right. See that transparency? Now, if I'm not satisfied on that color, I can go back and I can sort through the colors again, blue, and then hit the control button. I get my transparency. So here, boom. I just want to sort through the colors. Just that easy. Now, if you do it too quickly, it's going to interpret it as a double click. So, and it does, I've made a adjustment for ellipses as well. And then I also have one for lines. Horizontal lines and price lines. Blue, yellow, green, or red, green. You know I'm colorblind, so it is what it is. All right, so I did that, and then another thing that I did here over the last day or two was, if you notice on this guy that you've seen all over my, oh my goodness. You guys hadn't even seen what I've been looking at. Well, wait a minute. I don't think you saw it the whole time. All right. Anyway, let's well. Sure it didn't, because it was down here. Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry. It was right here. All right, so this is oh boy. This is our workspace, right? So we are, like I said, you probably didn't see any of that. So let's get rid of well, I'm just going to delete these. And then when I hit the control button and then tap that, or let's see, need to add the indicator back. So we're just going to do it from scratch, essentially. YouTube send. I'm going to get these out of here. Man, see, that's why you guys should participate in my lives. And you should say, hey, Eric, do a live. I want to be on one of your lives. So you could say, hey, man, we can't see exactly what you do. And honestly, all this has been coding. This has been very little on the chart. So you really didn't miss anything. I promise you. But sorry you didn't see it. All right, let's see. YouTube receive, send, YouTube receive. Okay, so when I draw these rectangles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to have a couple of ellipses. 1, 2, 3. Now, when I click on the rectangles, I'm going to click on the first one with the hitting the control. You see that control light flash? No, you don't even see the light flash up. All right. So I'm going to hit control on this one, click it. No control on that one. Control on this one, click it. No control on this one. Control on this one, click it. No control on this one. Control on this one, click it. No control on this one. Control on this one, click it. All right, and then I'm come down here, and I'm gonna hit the control button, and then I hit the left mouse click. All right, now you know why it did what it did, right? Because we said that we were only looking for rectangles, and we said that we have to be pressing down on the mouse click in order for the rectangles to show up, right? And if we weren't holding down on the mouse click, then it wouldn't show up. Now, so from here, what I was showing you, as you couldn't see it, was this stuff here, right? So I've made a kind of a toggle for rectangles and ellipses and lines and price lines, trend lines, is when I click on it and I hit the shift button, it'll toggle through the colors, And then if I hit the control button, it'll make the color transparent. I can still go back, toggle through the colors. I can still do that. All right, so if I go to edit studies and I go here, if I add another color to it, not sure why you'd want black on there, but maybe you do. Okay, now when I go through them, now we have black, and then there's the transparent version of it. We're just going to toggle through the colors. And then when I get to the one I want, I'll just hit the transparent button. And that way I can spend more time finding my price levels, my trend lines, my consolidation zones. I can do all this stuff, and on the fly, I can work to get all my colors right. Now, TradeStation is not great about this because, like I said, you literally have to go in there click by click and do all this stuff. So if you want to go in there, you want to modify this, you have to right click it. Whoop, I missed it, right? I hate that. Right click it. Okay. And now go in here, fill color, and then choose your fill color. Right. And then hopefully it's the right transparency that you wanted. It may not be, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so we're just trying to be more efficient, and we're trying to minimize the friction for getting us to our highest level of performance. And one of the things that I know that keeps me from doing better with market analysis, and I know that market analysis is important for me. I love programming, but if I want to make money with trading, I know that I need to spend some time with market analysis. One of the things is it takes so much time to come in here and draw whatever, and then try to right click it, and then go to color, and then do that. And then, I mean, at one time I was like copying and pasting boxes. I'd make boxes, and then I'd come in here and I'd do parallels, right click, do parallels. I was doing all kind of things to try to minimize how much time it takes me. But now, you know, I've got a couple of tools in my tool belt. So this is one, changing the colors. And then the other one is what we just worked on today, which is moving objects from one chart to another. So if you're analyzing here, then you can move the object right to this chart. Now, the other thing that I want to do is, I think when I set out to do this, I was thinking that I was just going to be able to go to, like, on NQ, if NQ is having, such a moment where it creates a, some type of consolidation zone somewhere, that when I draw this rectangle and then I click it, and then I come down here and then I click it, it will show me that same, for this time here, it would be this time here, it would put that same box right here. Now, I've got a couple ideas of what I can do to make something like this kind of happen. But it's going to be based on these values here. It can't be based on these values here. Why? Because NQ is trading at 21,400. ES is down here at 5,000, 5,900. So they're two different price levels. So if I can modify the price level to something that is consistent with the price of the date time bar here, then we may be working with something. Now, obviously, it won't be the exact same thing, but at least if I put a box here and then I click my button, it puts the box relatively here. I know generally in the area what I'm looking for. So I don't know. I have to figure out how to make that make sense as far as something that can be useful. If you guys have any ideas for that, be sure to let me know, and I'll be glad to modify the code. But in the meantime, you have the code. We just did it all. Took us an hour. I promise you, yesterday was Sunday. I spent probably 10 to 12 hours all day working on that, finding gremlins, finding bugs, finding issues with the way that TradeStation interprets some of the language, learning that some of the resources aren't updated. And yeah, so I learned a lot. And hopefully you guys learned something from me. Learning a lot. All right. Oh, last thing I want to show you is I made a modification to my my little station here, my little main control box for my automation, for my Autobots. I call them my Autobots. So I can click these. I can turn my print log and my main master switch on and off just with the click of a button. And then the other day, I think I showed you, if I hover over the flatten order ticket, it'll tell me the time. Well, I changed that. I just went to the properties section, and instead of clicking on the element, this was for the form, so it was under, tool buttons. But instead of clicking on it, I do a mouse scroll. So when I hover over it, now I scroll the mouse down, and it tells me what time I've set up for my flatten order tickets. And then if I go here and I scroll down, it tells me all the indicators that I have set up to trade live right now. All right, so like I said, we go back to that main screen, and you see that these are the indicators that I was running live today. None of them took any trades. And I understand toward the end of the year, things get a little dicey, so I'm not in a hurry for it to take any trades. But anyway, we're just trying to be patient. We're trying to be patient. All right, guys, gals. Whew, this has been a doozy. But I appreciate you for hanging out with me. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you'll come back. Maybe you tell a friend. Anyway, I'm Eric. I'm out. Peace.